The Christian Association of Nigeria has expressed condolences to the Holy Trinity Catholic Church in Maitama, Abuja, and the families of the victims who lost their lives during a palliative distribution event on Saturday. In a statement by Archbishop Daniel Oko, Khan described the victims as not just statistics but as individuals whose death represented grieving families. Oko noted that this incident was part of a worrying trend, citing two other stampedes in Anambra and Oyo State earlier in the week, which underscored the challenges of managing large crowds during charitable events. He urged Nigerians to show solidarity and compassion for the grieving families, emphasizing that the shared concern following the tragedy was a testament to the common humanity. Crowd management and emergency response has been a major challenge in Nigeria. How can we address this challenge? We have in the studio Dr. Abbas Idris, who is the pioneer Director General of the FCT Emergency Management Agency. Thank you for joining us on News Night.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'd like to have your reactions to this incident. I mean, it's been reoccurring. What do you think is at the heart of this? Let's start from there.
Well, first and foremost, let me register my condolences to the bereaved family of those families who lost their loved ones and those who have suffered injury as a result of these stampedes. Honestly, there is lack of compliance to safety protocols, and in every situation there are safety protocols laid down, and the event organizers ought to have gone through the safety protocols, and it is multi-agency because it is not something that you can do alone. You have to carry out risk assessment prior to this distribution, and the risk assessment should be able to define where are you going to have such distribution, and when, and then that is the venue, and then also the number of people you are going to entertain, and then compare it with the space that you have, and then also ensure that there is adequate security. Security not only at the gate or at the point of distribution, security surrounding the whole environment, because of the situation we are, the situation where people are really looking for food to eat. So wherever they see food, they will try to infiltrate and see what they can do. And then also, you make sure that there are also the security, and then there is also the fire service. Fire service should be there in case there is fire. What do? Do you start calling people, the fire service to come when they have when the fire is on? And then you also have to get the emergency response plan. Your emergency response, it is expected that every organization must have an emergency response plan. If there is an emergency, how do you cope with? How do you go about it before the responders come? And in such a situation, you are to invite the responders. The response agencies must be around you so that if there is any emergency, they can swing into action and make sure that they have rescued those that they are going to be rescued.
I understand that there are national disaster management framework, across.
Absolutely.
When you talk about, at the federal level, at the state level, and at the local level.
Yes.
How well prepared are local emergency management agencies to handle large-scale public gathering like this, especially during public, tight season like this? Do you think Nigeria, has what it takes to manage, emergencies such as this? Because this is at a small level, at the state level or at the local level, if you prefer.
Because the risk management aspect was not applied. If the risk assessment was carried out, you'll be able to know how large it is, and you'll be able to deploy the workers, the available responders, equal to that task. The same thing with the security. The security, if they know the number of people invited that they are going to be to receive such items, they'll be able to also make adequate deployment to that place to ensure that the security is manned. And then also the community around that area should be informed, should be educated also. Because in such a situation, if you don't educate the community, they will also plan to come in and take their own ration. So you have to educate them. You have to tell them whatever. And if it is not possible, must we do it at that venue if we don't have adequate security, we don't have adequate information that the community has accepted that they are not going to really come in to cause any stampede? So you look for another venue. We have so many venues in Abuja. You can go to the stadium, National Stadium. You can go to the Sport Council. Anywhere, there are so many places. There are so many places that you can really do to make sure that you save lives and properties of the residents.
Let's talk about, I do know that the emergency management agency does not work alone. How does it work? At what point do you step in when there's a need to manage emergency? Because the police were there yesterday, right? The CP was also here to talk about, their effort in a rescue effort. So, and some people are saying that perhaps there's a breakdown of communication between, the police and the management agency and all of that. So speak to us about, what step do you think we need to take to improve the level of communication between the police and emergency management agency?
Yeah, there should be a very tight relationship between the other stakeholders and the police.
Right.
By the time the police come to the scene and they didn't see those I mentioned, the fire service, the rescue workers from the response agencies, the other rescue agencies, for instance, the Federal Road Safety Corps, they should be there to man the traffic.
Right.
And then also the police, the fire service, NEMA, FCT Emergency Management Agency, and then...
it's more like a community of emergency management ecosystem.
So the police ought to have said they would not do anything until those agencies are present. And they ought to have been carried out at the planning stage. The planning stage by the church supposed to have bring all these stakeholders together and tell them, look, this is what we intend to do.
Right.
And then this is the venue. A small committee will be set up to go and look at the venue, compare with the people that are going to receive those items, and then the space they are going to park those items, the space where they are going to park vehicles, and then look at the surrounding and ensure that there is nothing that can call any hazardous things around the area. Then they can now sit down and say, okay, this place is adequate, we'll be able to contain the number that is being projected, and then the items that are being projected to be distributed also. And then also, how do you plan to distribute those items? It's another thing. Is it going to be done the way we do? You give them, they will enter the church, and then maybe as they are coming out, they are taking their ration, their portion and go, or it is going to be distributed while seated within the church. The church. So all this has to be spelled out, and then the assessment will look at the implications and see what it is. By then, everything is planned, and you see that smoothly everything will take place.
Let's speak from your experience over the years as a pioneer DG at the FCT Emergency Management Agency. Given these, incidents, what immediate changes, do you believe are necessary in Nigeria's emergency management protocols going forward? Because this is not just happening in Abuja alone. It's happening. It happened in Ibadan, and then it happened in Anambra. Now we saw that the death toll in Anambra just risen to 22, and now in Abuja. Perhaps there has to be some changes.
I think the best thing is NEMA should coordinate, because they are the national coordinators.
Right.
All the response agencies as well as other stakeholders to ensure that there is adequate response plan by each agency. Each agency must have its own response plan and then build together to have a national response plan, which is also in existence. It's just to update it. And then ensure that if there is such plan to distribute things, the information should go wide, and then there should be adequate arrangement, planning, in such a way that all the stakeholders also are aware that such thing is going to take place, and then they are ready also to participate and give their own best. At that scene, everybody has his own responsibility defined in the response plan. So failure of any of the agency can cause a problem. And after that, they will sit down and review the performance of the distribution, and then what we call after action plan, a review plan. So, then you now look at the whole thing thoroughly and see where there are gaps, so that at the next distribution, you now have to correct it. But in this situation, last year we had about 2 or 3 stampedes, one in Bauchi, one in Kefi, all in the name of distribution, and we didn't learn a lesson. Now, within 1 week, we had 3, and claiming more than 50 lives. And we have to give value to our lives. Unless we give value to our lives, we will continue to lose life every day. 50 lives within a week. This is a serious disaster. And we need to really sit down and look at it critically and forestall future occurrence.
Dr. Abbas Idris, a pioneer DG FCT Emergency Management Agency, we would really like to thank you for your insightful analysis.
Thank you very much.